Unfortunately, we do live in a world where we have to fear the worst when we send our kids to school, and teachers have to prepare for the worst. I've often heard teachers say that they have escape plans and contingency plans to keep their students safe if something goes wrong. But something they don't ever expect or prepare for is what first grade teacher Abby Zwerner had to experience when her 6-year-old student wasn't the one in danger, but he was the danger. If you're worried about the world we're leaving to our children, well then it looks like your algorithm brought you to the right place. I'm the mom behind the mask. Welcome. Abby Zwerner, a first grade teacher at Richneck Elementary School in Newport News, Virginia, walked into school on January 6, 2023, not knowing she was about to experience the most traumatic day of her life. One of her students, who will keep anonymous, but a 6-year-old boy nonetheless, took his mother's gun to school and shot his teacher. A 6-year-old boy shot his first grade teacher. Abby Zwerner suffered a single gunshot wound to the hand, where the bullet traveled through her hand and ended up going through her lower chest and punctured her lung. Abby heroically got all of her students to safety, but said she started to notice it became difficult to breathe. At that point, she made her way to the front office, where she collapsed and had to be taken to the emergency room.
Despite being shot, she managed to get all of her students to safety.
Female victim, she's been shot in the abdomen as well as a through and through into the hand.
She spent the next few weeks recovering in the hospital, and ultimately she survived. And while Newport News could be known as a rougher area in the northeastern Virginia area, it's by no means the kind of area where you'd expect a child to be exposed to the kind of things that would prompt them to come to school and shoot their teacher, not a 6-year-old. So what went wrong here? Well, I was able to speak to a source who knew the child and gave me some insight on the kind of things he was dealing with. But first, I want to show you what Abby had to say about the incidents, because 2 years later, she is finally seeking justice for what she says was negligence on behalf of the school, especially one of the school officials.
Make sense of something like this.
You can't. I'm not sure when the shock will ever go away because of just how surreal it was. And, the vivid memories that I have of that day. I think about it daily. Sometimes I have nightmares.
Zwerner's attorney, Diane Toscano, filed a notice of intent to sue school administrators, arguing that the Richneck administration failed to take action after it was warned 3 separate times that the boy had a gun with him the day that Zwerner was shot. Toscano says she plans to file a lawsuit in 2 weeks.
There have been many failures, and there are multiple people responsible for those failures.
Do you feel like you could have been better protected by the school?
Yes.
And my first thought when I hear a story like this is, what kind of life was this child living? Who are his parents? And spoiler alert, the child's mother was found responsible for this incident. She was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison for a combination of crimes, including improperly storing a firearm, providing false information on the firearm application, and child neglect. Although Deja, the boy's mother, admits her son had some issues, she consistently deflected blame and insisted her child's behavior had to do with how he was treated by his teacher.
Exactly 1 month to the day, a Virginia grand jury indicted Deja Taylor, charging her with child neglect and failing to secure her gun. When I talked to the 25-year-old and her grandfather, who now has custody of her son, she said she wants people to know she's a good mom. While school shootings in the U.S. are no longer a rarity, what happened at this Virginia elementary school in January was shocking. The shooter was only 6 years old. The victim, his 25-year-old teacher, Abby Zwerner. Amid the ongoing criminal and civil cases, the family of the first grader who shot his teacher has remained quiet until now. Does he talk about the incident?
No. He talks a lot more about the day before or the 2 days before than he does about January 6th.
Shortly after the shooting, the family released a statement saying, "Our son suffers from an acute disability and was under a care plan at the school that included his mother or father accompanying him to class every day. The week of the shooting was the first week when we were not in class with him." What can you tell us specifically about your son's disability?
So he has ADHD. Some are able to have it at a very mild rate, but he's off the wall, doesn't sit still, ever.
And why did the school decide that it was no longer necessary for the family to be in class?
He had started medication and he was meeting his goals academically.
Had your son ever spoken like about hurting the teacher, or was there anything like any angst that he had against her?
No, he actually really liked her. I will say that week he did come home and he was talking, a lot about how he felt like he was being ignored. So he would come home and, Mom, I don't think that she was listening to me. I didn't like that. And then actually he ended up getting suspended the next day because he was in class. He was trying to tell her something. And she asked him to go sit back down. He threw his arms up, he said, fine. And when he threw his arms up, he knocked her phone out of her hand on accident. And he got suspended for that.
Zwerner did not respond to ABC News' request for comment, but in a lawsuit, she says the student slammed the cell phone on the ground so hard that it cracked and shattered. She's now filed a $40 million lawsuit against the Newport News School District and Richneck Elementary officials, claiming they ignored multiple warnings about the student's behavior and concerns that he had a gun. According to the suit, the child had a history of random violence and that he attacked students and teachers alike, both in and out of school. Is that description accurate?
Whether it is or it isn't, the school enrolled him in September knowing all of the past behaviors.
The school district released a statement to ABC News saying it cannot release information about a student's educational record. And last month, the district filed to dismiss Zwerner's suit, arguing her injuries fall under workers' compensation. The gun used in the shooting was legally purchased by Taylor. She says it was kept locked away. Her attorney would not say how the 6-year-old got it. How did your son access the gun?
Nobody knows.
No one knows. Let me just ask this, and I'll direct it to you, Jimmy. Is it that no one has asked him how he got it, or you're just not ready to reveal how he got it?
We're not ready to discuss that at this point. Yes, people have talked to him about that. And I don't know that any adult knows exactly how he got the gun.
Was the gun locked somewhere? It was locked somewhere. In April, Taylor was charged with a felony count of child neglect and a misdemeanor count of recklessly leaving a firearm as to endanger a child. Her trial is set for August. Do you feel in any way responsible for the shooting?
Yes, of course. That is my son. So I am, as a parent, obviously willing to take responsibility for him because he can't take responsibility for himself.
They kept trying to insist that his feelings were hurt because he was trying to get his teacher's attention the day before and she was ignoring him or redirecting him. But when have you ever known a 6-year-old to think that what he did would be the first resort or any response for someone ignoring them or brushing them off? What she says about her son sounds good on the surface, but it doesn't take much reading between the lines to know that this boy had been exposed to some problematic things. The source I spoke to, who granted did not know the boy before the incident happened, said that what they know now of the child since living with his grandparents is that they struggle with keeping him in line and that he has issues being exposed to inappropriate adult content that they frequently catch him trying to view, and that he also has been caught exposing himself to other children. This in conjunction with reports that he struggled with being violent with other students by threatening them, and even trying to choke out his kindergarten teacher a year before this incident with Abby Zwerner happened. This child has undoubtedly been exposed to things while in the custody of his parents that have had lasting effects on his mental state. From what I've been told, his grandparents who now have custody of him have been working consistently with him in therapy and trying to keep his life as normal and structured as possible. So I do not believe Deja Taylor when she says she wants people to know that she's a good mom. She is not a good mom. She deserves to be in prison for what her 6-year-old did. And she does not deserve to have custody of her child. But as I said before, Abby Zwerner is not only seeking justice by holding the mother accountable, she demands accountability from the school too. And more specifically, the assistant principal at the time of the incident, Ebony Parker. Allegedly, Ebony Parker had been informed on the day of the incident that the child had brought a weapon to school and was in possession of it. He allegedly threatened another student with it, and that student reported it. And again, allegedly, the administration checked the boy's backpack during recess and did not find the firearm, so they dismissed the claim. Then Miss Parker was informed by other teachers, allegedly, that they thought the firearm was actually in his pocket. She allegedly said there was no way a firearm could fit in his pocket and dismissed the claim again. Finally, Abby Zwerner pleaded with Miss Parker to search the boy because she was certain he had the firearm on his person, and her response again, allegedly, was that it was almost the end of the day and to just let it go. It was shortly after that Abby Zwerner was shot and came inches away from losing her life. She says the most traumatic part of the entire incident was the look in the boy's eyes after he shot her. Not only does Abby Zwerner deserve justice, but so do all of those students who came to school that day and left fearing for their lives, and the parents who had to learn they sent their child to school and the administration failed to protect them. That boy is not to blame, and I stand on that. His mother is to blame, and the administration that didn't take the appropriate precautions to provide a safe environment for those students are the ones to blame. And I hope that Abby Zwerner gets the justice she deserves. If you're worried about the world we're leaving to our children, I'm right there with you.